on to the final question. It's yours, Emma.
Yeah. So how does it compare to a webinar or another live online platform, do you think? Io, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I guess the other lives I've done are on Instagram, which do tend to be they did feel a bit slicker, but you can't stream into other platforms, so you have to do it direct through the Instagram app. So I mean, but again, similar in terms of tech failure now and then, weird glitches, but you get that on Instagram, you get that on every platform in a way. So I guess, but there have some more they have some better ways of promoting it. I know when we promote our events or these LinkedIn Lives, it's basically classed as a share. So your actual, you don't get very much traction on your posts itself, as we found. So we found lots of workaround. So I think on Instagram, it works better. They want to promote those. It's easier to promote them. And then there's things like countdown clocks. There's all of this kind of stuff that works really well. And I kind of think that's where LinkedIn's kind of failing in that way. So for me, I think that's the thing. But also I think things like you can't download your guest list, your event list. I mean, that delegate list, that's what you would expect to do if you're hosting your own webinar and stuff like that. So I think there's a few things where you're like, it's all kind of, they want to keep you within LinkedIn and not doing what the other platforms are doing and stuff. And so sometimes you have to kind of weigh that up as to what you're after.
I think that's really good point. I think you two have probably got more to say about this than me. So I'm going to jump in on my own question.
No, that's fine. It's all right. I'm
doing
being ignored today. It's fine.
No, all I was going to say is that it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that is a really good point around it's a great way of doing a live. If you want to do all the things we said, if you want that hero piece of content, if you want to repurpose, if you're good at repurposing, if you can make it work as part of the other bits of the content machine in your strategy. But there are some really fundamental things you can't do that you've pointed out, Io, and I think that's really worth people today bearing in mind. We've struggled with that. Stacey, do you want to go and then I'll come back in? You answer.
Yeah, sure. I agree with everything Io said. I mean, the advantage, I suppose, of doing a live on LinkedIn over webinar is you might already have your ready-made audience. You know, if you've built up a good list of connections and you've got a good network on there, you've already got a ready-made audience, rather than if you are launching something from scratch from a webinar. If you're using external platforms, you're probably going to have more whiz-bang features. Like, for example, I think it's Zoom, you can get a Slido plugin, which allows that extra level of engagement. Whether those sort of features will be introduced when LinkedIn launches its own platform, I don't know. But I suppose the other advantage is you can do very short and sweet LinkedIn Lives, which if you're doing like a webinar, kind of there is this compulsion to do like proper 45 minutes or an hour, whereas the LinkedIn Live, you can do something that's a bit more casual. You can do I think it's minimum of 15 minutes. You can do solo, you can do a solo live. I mean, I wouldn't, because the thought of doing that absolutely terrifies me.
You do video. You already do video in a feed.
That's not live. That's not kind of, I know it's weird, but sort of recording something that I can then, but me just sort of talking to my computer by myself and people, it just feels weird. But you can do that, and I have watched LinkedIn Lives where people have done that. So yeah, those are my points. I think that there's roundabouts and swings, but just coming back to Io's point, which we have found really, really frustrating, is promoting these lives on LinkedIn. They make it really hard, considering it's something that they want people to do. They make it really, really hard to promote these promote LinkedIn Lives. You get very little reach when you include the link on posts, and we've had to find all sorts of different workarounds to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything you want to close out with, Emma?
Yeah, I suppose it does have a slight. So just I don't do lives anywhere else really. I have dabbled on my Facebook page, but not consistently like I do here. So as I said, you two probably have more to add from that side of things. But I think it has a sort of intimate feel to it. I think it's tricky to use compared to something like Zoom, but like you said, Zoom feels more formal in some ways. If you're going to do a webinar, it's structured. You've got your presentation. Whereas this, I think, feels more like you're in a studio, more informal, and you get all the bells and whistles quite easily. The branding stuff is not difficult to do once you know what you're doing. It's upload file, kind of press button, and everything can be created in Canva. So yeah, I would say I would say that's probably the main thing. And it does a lot of work for you. Yeah, it's sort of upload file, press button. Yeah,